want to thank you all for inviting me to present this morning on data.census.gov. As I was presented to, I am the data dissemination specialist assigned to provide Census Bureau data support to the states that I cover: Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And basically what I do is I go out and teach people how to use the tools and understand the data that we disseminate. So this is going to be a real quick walkthrough of the data tool. I wanted to do it live, but when we tested it, a couple of the screenshots were, or I should say the actual walkthroughs were taking a very long time to load. So this will be the caveat to this presentation. If you want a individual session on how the tool navigates or how to use it, please feel free to contact me. It'd be no problem to walk you through it. So let's see, come on. All right, so basically what we're going to cover today is we are going through how do you initiate your search, how do you start your search. We have very different ways that one can initiate a search. There is no right way or wrong way. It's going to be basically how it is or what it is that you want. So we're going to walk through initiating a simple search and also how to customize your tables. We're going to be using the tool to search using Table IDs, how you save your results. We're going to walk through searching by topics, mapping your results, and then downloading, copying, and printing what it is that you want. And then lastly, we're going to do a simple search for industry codes so that you have access to our economic census data as well. So when we come into the tool, we are looking at coming in through our main splash page, which is www.census.gov. And across the top, there are several navigational tabs. And the one that you want to go to is the second one from the left, that is Explore Data. Now, on this list that drops down, you're going to have several selections. Explore Data Main is where, excuse me, you will find the entry port to the tool and also all of your learning resources and additional data.census.gov resources. They're on that site. But you could also enter it through the last link, or the second to the last link on the left, the Data Tools and Apps list. Basically, this is a listing, several pages of all of the data tools that are available to you for accessing our data. In terms of bookmarking it, I know a lot of people love to do that so they can just go into it right away. But because this tool is still going through some tweaks and development, we have these updates every 2 months. So it may be that if you do bookmark it, when you go back in, it may not be the latest version. So that's just as a caveat, keep looking for new versions of the tool or keep refreshing your bookmark. But in order to enter the tool, basically 2 ways again, or there's really no right way or wrong way. But when you go into Explore Data main page, on the left-hand side, you're going to get a visualization on the screen that'll give you a search engine, and you can start there. Or you can go down to the blue tab, go to data.census.gov, you click there, and it's going to bring up the next window, which is on the right-hand side, the Explore Data. And that way you can either go into the search engine itself on a simple search, which is a single geography search, or you can click on the advanced search. And this is predicated by the fact that you will then already have some kind of idea of the geography, the data that you're looking for, and how it is the census data is parsed out. So a couple of different ways that you can access the tool. But I wanted to show you a simple search. And so on the URL, or basically the search engine, I just typed in median income for Madison, Wisconsin, and we're going to see what it brings back. Excuse me. All right, so when you enter a simple query, it's going to take you to a page that's going to give you different options. You are going to get that high-level answer to your query. Peruse those. But on the left-hand side, I also wanted to show you that you can have access to the demographic profile for Milwaukee, I should say for Wisconsin, right off the bat. You don't have to do a separate search for that. So on the right-hand side, the blue panel, if you click on that, you are going to get a demographic profile for Madison, Wisconsin, or whatever geography you want, and basically it will bring up 7 key topics. And you can peruse with those and through those. But what is really interesting and cool about this version of the data profile, as demographic profile, is that you can view it in different formats. You have tables, you have bars, you have maps that you can look at in terms of the data, and also it gives you the source of what it is that it is representing on screen. So, for instance, that little bar chart that you are looking at right now on the left-hand side, if you look in the middle under income and poverty, you've got 3 different numbers or 2 different numbers, but at the bottom, you'll see the table source of where that data is coming from. So important to keep in mind is the data tables that you are using, because if those are your favorite tables, you know exactly where to go, and we're going to do a walkthrough on how to bring back data using your favorite table, okay? So different ways that you can get at the data and look at the other options that are available to you. But just so that we can do a deeper dive and look at the differences between customization and filtering, I'm going to go and click on the arrow of our top high-level data table, the first one up on the screen. And when you do that, you are going to get what is called our table viewer. Okay, this is in the tool, and it will take you to it right away. Okay, so this table viewer is basically giving you several options. On the left-hand side, you're getting a listing of the tables that are associated with the topic that you selected. So how do you know which table you're viewing? If you look on the left-hand side, that orange bar will indicate or will tell you this is a table that you're viewing. Okay, so every time you scroll down and select a different table, it will change, but there you can always keep track of which one you are looking at. In the table viewer, there are a couple things that you can do. You can customize your table, or you can filter or download what it is that you are seeing right now. And I'll give you a couple of differences between those options. When you hit Customize Table, this is going to allow you to kind of edit your table, if you will. So if we take a tour of the editable icons that come up once you hit Customize Table, up on the top side, top of the screen, on the left-hand side, you see that you have access to the notes. You can click on your selections. Important in terms of the geo, it's telling you it's only the data you're looking at is only for one geography, but you can add through this icon. You look at the years for which that data is available, the vintages, and it's telling you you've only got one topic, but which if you click on that, you can also add on other topics. You can click on the surveys icon to find out where this is coming from, but at the table viewer, it's telling you the survey program is from the ACS, or the American Community Survey. If you're used to looking at codes, you've got that icon there as well. You can either hide a data item, but in this next one over, in terms of transposing and margin of error, that is going to allow you to suppress the margin of error column. If you're okay with the MOE, then you can suppress that. And that's a good trick to know if you're trying to capture a very, say if you have 6 geographies and they're not all fitting on the screen, you can edit these columns and rows to get at the view that you are wanting. So suppressing the margin of error will allow you that flexibility of screen view. And then also for another view of your screen, especially if you're used to looking at lists, you can transpose your columns where everything that is going across the top will then be changed to the left side, and everything that's on the left will be repositioned on the top. Maybe a data table that has a lot of data on it going across the top may not be a good example to transpose, but when you're looking at like single population or housing or income, and we do have a lot of tables that have just that one number, not a lot of components like this one, you can transpose that table and get a list view that is a lot nicer. Also, if you look on the far right, you can map this data. Clicking on that will take you to a visualization of the geography, and it will give you the legend breaks of what it is that you're trying to capture. And we were in the median income, table, which is the S1901. And just off the top, this tool will always bring back for you the most current data. So if you notice on the product on the left-hand side, the product item, it's giving you ACS 1 year. So keep that in mind when you're looking through data, because if you have geographies that have different geographic thresholds, you will not pull back all of the data unless you change your product type. And just to review with ACS, 1 year data, very current, but it is for large geographies that have a population of about 65,000 and higher. If you're looking for smaller geographies, population under 65,000, you always have to have your product type at the 5-year estimate. And the 5-year estimate for 2019 will be released December the 10th. So those are just quick high-level items. Now on the left-hand side, you can also filter and download. The differences between downloading, printing, and exporting, you should keep in mind depending on what it is that you are doing. If you hit the print icon, what you're going to get is just the first page of that table, and maybe not all the columns. So keep in mind, if you've got a table that goes, that you have to scroll down several times to get at the end, if you print it, you're only going to get the first page and all the data notes associated with it. If you click on the download icon, you are going to be able to download the entire data set, but it is only available, excuse me, as a CSV. And down at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the options. When you click that download icon, it will bring up this little view, and it's going to allow you to select all the vintages that are displayed. It'll be a large file, but you don't have to come back and go out, in and out and select the different vintages. You can do it all in one shot from here. To do the entire table, you're able to export it to Excel, when you click the export icon on the right-hand side. So a little bit about that. When you hit your filter, your filter item, it's kind of like customizing, but filtering allows you to start changing your data to kind of refine it and pinpoint the information that you want without going through all of the other tables that are defaulting to. So when you click filter, you're going to pull up a window like it's looking on the left, and it's going to offer you the different options in terms of your topics, otherwise your variables, your geographies, the years that you are looking at in terms of the vintages that are available. If you're looking for data from the econ or from one of our other surveys, you can click on the survey, gives you that option. or if you're looking for NAICS codes, specific Econ, North American Industry Classification System codes, you can pull those up through the filter options. What I do have to say is that, caution you guys, the way the topics are arranged in this tool is not the way they were arranged in American Fact Finder. So I do encourage you to click on each of those topic buttons so you can see where the other variables are nested. We cover 40 topics in ACS, and in Econ there's a lot as well. So as you click on each of these topic links, you're going to open up the related or the associated topics or the other variables that are underneath those. And this will kind of be apparent when we go into one of our other examples. So another way that you can further edit or customize your table are when you're in the table viewer on the far right-hand side, there are two very small tabs that you have access to. And this will allow you where in customizing a table, you were able to suppress the margin of error. That's the only one that allows you to, column change is the margin of error. When you come into the columns tab, you are able to suppress or edit out any of those items that are showing up on you on the window associated on the right-hand side. So you can click and show the differences, between one or the other. Click all of them, all the estimates or all the margin of errors for each section. For instance, on this one, the screenshot on the upper left is the entire table. So I clicked on the columns and I edited only the margin of error in the household column. So when you look at the household column, okay, you're only getting the estimate. For families, you've got estimates and margin of error. Single families, estimate, and margin of error. So this is another way that you can tailor or customize your table using that editing function. And also, you can use the cell or column, the second tab, to edit these. Of course, you have the down arrows, these little icons here, that you can suppress the entire cohort and only show the item that you are looking for. Okay, next one over is this is again knowing your tables. Okay, a lot of our tables come in different iterations, and also depends on the subject how detailed you want the data. So the link that's on the screen will take you to the manual, if you will, of the explanation of what it is of a table structure. In other words, what the letter S or B stand for, what the next two digits stand for, what the other three digits stand for. If at the end it has an A or a B or a C, so on and so forth, it will give you that explanation. As an example, first table that we were looking at was the S1901, that's median income. And so you see that that version gives you a lot of information. And for instance, subject tables, it's basically representing the data, a span of information on a particular subject, presented with both estimates and percentages, okay? But if you scroll down and look at the B19013 on the left-hand side, when you pull that table up, you're going straight into just that number, just the number of the median income, the question that you asked, not what makes up that number in terms of the different cohorts that are available or the income levels that make up that number. And so in a table such as the B19013, when you customize it, hit that, transpose column, it will be a nice list for you, as opposed to doing that in the other table, the S1901. Okay? So searching using table IDs. Very simple once you know your table ID. First, you go into Explore Census Data, you put in your table ID. Okay, it will bring up like a Google search of listing of all the tables associated. You click on that, it's going to default to the US, because using the table search, table ID search, you haven't told the tool what geography you're looking for. So in this one, we did a demographic profile 03, which is the economic characteristics of a location. So it brings up the default to the U.S. And again, it's also bringing up the 1-year estimate, which is the most current. But then you can go ahead and filter it or customizing it. It will give you, in this example, I requested 2 zip codes within the city of Madison. So when you hit filter, you browse through you go to geography, it will bring up another window that will give you the listings of all the geographies that are available. We go down to the zip code tabulation area, and of course it's going to ask you what state are these zip codes in, and then it will bring you a listing excuse me, of all the zip codes in your state. This is not like American Fact Finder where you were able to get the zip codes by place. This one gives you the entire state zip code directory, so you're going to need to know what zip code you're looking for. We have other tools that will help you that, but it's not part of this walkthrough, so I encourage you to give us a call and we'll walk you through it. So when we bring up the table using those 2 zip codes for ACS, and again, it's just the demographic profile of these 2 zip codes. Again, make sure that your product item is suited to that geography. So I went up and changed it to the 2018 ACS. It's the most current that we have right now for 5-year. And this will show you what it looks like when you copy or, export a table, so on and so forth. One thing that you can do right off the bat here is on the right-hand side, not at the labels line, but where we start with our data, if you do a right click, you're going to get this little window that pops up, or Control-C, I should say, a Control-C. You're going to get this window. It's going to allow you to do several things. If you just want to copy, it's going to copy just what it's that first illustration on the top, employment status, and it's going to give you just for those, the data. If you do copy with headers, it's going to include the zip codes. Okay, 2 different options. So if you just want to copy the data, of course, hit Control-C. But if you want to copy it retaining the geography or the headers, make sure that you use that second option. And then, of course, when you click the export, it will let you download it to an Excel spreadsheet. Changing the products, and the geographies, always keep in mind that when you're changing geographies, the screen will, down at the bottom, and sometimes it's kind of hard to see, will list for you, will keep track for you the geographies that you are requesting. So for instance, in this one, we've got Madison, Wisconsin, and then we've got zip codes, 2 different geographies. So when you pull it up on the table, the DP03, you're going to get Madison only because it's defaulting to the 1-year data, which is the most current. So this is where we would have to go to the product type, click on that one, select my vintage, and then come back to the table viewer. And then for you to save it, all you need to do is copy the URL, and you can save it to an email, a document, wherever. And what's good about this version as opposed to American Fact Finder is when you copy this URL and you include it in an email or a document, when you come back and load it onto your screen, you're going to come back to the tool, the functioning tool, not just a screenshot, the tool, and it's going to retain all of the topics and the geographies that you were working with. So it's not just, in American Fact Finders, that sometimes happen that you copied the URL and it took you right to the tool, didn't retain anything, any other factors that you were working with. So very, very nice improvement there. Selecting your topics. Okay, again, this is letting you know it's not organized the way it was then, so you do have to familiarize yourself with what's contained in each of these selections. Also, a big difference is when you click on any of these little boxes, you check off these boxes, that means that that is your final selection. You can't go any further. However, in this example, we're going to look at population and people, and I'm going to look at information for a particular group in terms of if you're looking for information on Irish or Colombians or Australians, this is where you would look for that population group. So you would click on Ancestry, and if you look on the far right, you've got additional selections. And this is where all those particular population groups reside. So all you need to do is scroll down and find the one you're looking for. I think I was looking for Hispanic, white alone. Okay, so I checked that off. And then it comes and it brings you the information that you are looking for the geography. And then again, if you're looking for the difference between race and ethnicity, the previous screen, this walkthrough here brought you through the specific population groups. Okay, now this is a predicate on the fact that you know which population group you are looking for. Okay, if it's from Europe or from the Middle East or Asia, these are the individual where you would go to get those individual groups. If you're looking for the basic breakouts, this is where you would go under race and ethnicity. Okay, so you have just the basic categories here. And if you're looking for Hispanic groups, you have to come down to the Hispanic or Latino, and then these are the particular breakouts that you have. I went into the detailed Hispanic, and then here, here you have on the right-hand side all the selections that you can click off on. And then basically this is what we'll bring up for you. You've got your population. Again, we have to keep an eye on the product. And this is one thing that when it comes to ethnicity, Hispanic data, we have a product that's called the ACS 5-year Selected Population Detailed Tables. And 2015 is the most current that we have for that. So keep in mind that not everything is as current as we want it to be, but this is the availability because of the program. So in this one, we are looking at sex by age for that particular population group in Madison, Wisconsin, white alone, Hispanic, or Latino. And this one is giving you the age breakout cohort. And then again, you can come over and select if you hit your mapping. This is the illustration in terms of mapping your data. Under Customize, you come in, you hit Mapping. It's going to bring up a window that will show you the geography that you have selected. So right off the top, you can select additional geographies and also the specific line item of data that you would like highlighted. Okay, so when we come back, when you select your geography, it'll bring up a little cross sign. You hover it over the geography, the area that you want. When you click on it, it'll bring a window verifying that this is what you want. So when you click on select your geography, it will include it in your table and in your visualization. Okay, so you can add or delete geographies using your mapping tool. It will also, on the left-hand side, allow you to customize your view, if you will. If you click on the little gear icon, that will allow you to change the color, create your own breakouts, whether you wanted equal distribution or by quantile, so on and so forth. And so you can customize it that way. Difference between View Table tab here and the table up at the ribbon. If you click on View Table, it's going to bring a list down at the bottom of the data that it is mapping, just that data item that you have selected up in the data variable. If you click on Table, it will take you straight to your table viewer where this data is being pulled from. Okay, a couple of differences to know what it is that you are looking at. Okay? And then this is basically what you would be looking at. Your table view will give you your entire data table, and this is my added geography, and that is captured right in there because we have a 5-year estimate. And your tables, this is what it will bring. Okay, a couple of different views that you can explore when you're looking at this. I know this is fast and furious, but you know I am mindful of time and also for questions. Learning resources in explore data.census.gov. If you forget what you just saw today, not to worry, because if you go to our resources, basically our hub of continuing education, you can click on the how-to materials for using data.census.gov, and it will give you specific instructions walking through each of the processes in terms of using your map, customizing your table, downloading, printing, so on and so forth. Also, if you go to Census Academy, this is also the site where we have what we call our data gems. And basically, they are like 2 to 3 minute YouTube videos of my colleagues walking you through each of these processes as well. So if you want to download or save or customize or pull up business reports or find data for a population group, they have specific little data gems, if you will, that you can view. You can also come up to the blue ribbon under the webinars and look at what our offerings are, past or future, because we do record them and transcribe them and post them online with the presentation, the transcription, and the video. So you have access to all of that material, and then you can look at what it is that we've got up and coming. There are also courses that are available, okay, in data analysis programs. You can take those, and also geography. And you can request a data training going to this site if you don't have my contact information. So a lot of good resources here, aside from the other screenshot that had the what is data.census.gov, that will also give you a lot of information on how this tool was developed, what's in there or not. And that's something you might want to visit, because in American Fact Finder, we had data from, I would say like 90% of our censuses and surveys. Okay, you had CPS, or Current Population Survey, you had population estimates, and a whole bunch of other economic and data programs. In this one, not everything has transitioned. And also not everything will be transitioned into the tool. So for vintage decennial census, you're going to need to go to the application, the API, okay, the application processing interface. That's where the vintage data will be residing. For population estimates, you're going to have to go to the program page or the API. We're working on migrating that into this tool, but we don't know the time frame for that. And also for the 2020 census, this is the tool that will be used to disseminate that data. Okay. So NAICS code for economics can be kind of complicated depending on the industry or your endeavor or the endeavor of the your patron. So we do have on census.gov a page devoted to identifying your North American industry classification system, so you can pull out that economic data. So when you go there, you can enter a keyword or a couple of digits of the NAICS if you understand, or if you know the industry, or you can click on in the middle panel the particular industry that kind of zeroes in on your endeavor or your query. And then when you click on that particular one, it will bring up 2 to 6 digit identification or definitions, if you will. So for this illustration, we're going to look at dental offices or offices of dentists the way they are. You have to enter that with the NAICS dash and then the numbers. Entering the number itself won't give you a result. Just remember, if you're not sure, this is where you would go on our webpage to get that information. So when we key in just a casual search, it brings back a table for you, and I gave it the geography for Wisconsin. You've got Wisconsin here, your economic sector, your NAICS code specific to dental offices, and it's giving you the 2 latest versions, 2007 and 2012. And then you've got the data going through. Industry codes, again, when you go into that filtering option, it brings up these selection windows, and from there you can go and select your numbers. Again, you might have to get some familiarization with what those NAICS codes are. Okay, this is our hub for continuing education. Like I said, we've got data gems and different programs that you can join in to continue learning about the data and the data tools that we have available. And then we also invite you to sign up, okay, for Census Alerts. Basically, it'll bring up a pick list that you will check off what it is that you want to be notified on. For instance, next month, we are going to be releasing the 2019 ACS 5-year estimates. So every time we release something, we usually accompany it or preface it with a webinar. And these are important because topics can be added or deleted from the survey. Tables can be merged, deleted, or new tables created. And if you're used to a particular table and you come in and don't find it, that could be the reason, because of the topic being merged or a new topic introduced. Case in point, we didn't collect information on health insurance until a few years back, and that now we have the option of looking for information on whether you got health insurance through your employer, through the data, the insurance exchange, or if it was privately purchased. So again, these are important to watch. They usually last about an hour with some Q&A time, but also you can sign up for alerts on what it is that's going on with 2020, if that is your focus. We also have manuals and program technical documentations on all of our censuses and surveys, but this is where you would definitely go to get your updates or your information for the ACS. And if you need assistance or help, like I said, if all of this sounds, and it is, overwhelming, fast and furious, and you're like, what? Please give me a call. My phone number, my email address. It will get you to where we are, and we will work with you to get you comfortable with understanding and using our data. Okay? So we can go in for questions if there are any. And if you're hesitant or shy, you can definitely send me an email, and we will get the information for you.
This is Beth Harper. I'll kick it off, but I apologize if you've answered this already, but how far back does the data in data.census.gov go? Or is there
right now?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no, I get it. Right now, we've got 2010, and we will have 2020, of course. Anything further than back than that, like for the 1990 and 2000, it would be through the API. Anything further than that, like we have on our archives, we do have data going back to 1790. But because we didn't have digital capabilities back then or until like 1990, we used to publish, and I think a lot of you remember the big volumes of data that used to go out every decennial. So what we had to do is search out all of our resources for good copies of those books, and we had to tear them up and digitize them, scan them, digitize them, and upload them. So they're all in different formats and different organizational indexes, if you will, but they are online. You definitely can get that data online.
Thank you. Is there, does the Census Bureau have like a page that describes or charts kind of at least the stuff back to 1990?
Yeah, if you go to the data.census.gov page and you click on what is DCG, if you will, and I think it's that icon's on the left-hand side, it will bring an index. And if you guys don't get it, please, let me know and I'll send you the link. There is a link that shows a little chart of things that have transitioned into the new tool, things that are in transition, and things that will be transitioned. Okay, so that'll give you some indication of what is in there and what is not.
Thanks. Yeah, if you could put the link to that chart, if you could send it to me and I can send it out to others, that would be great.
I will do that. Yeah, I will do that. Okay, if there are no other questions, Beth, it's back to you. I think we might have a little bit of time.
Yeah, I'm going to ask another question. What the heck? It used to be when I would search in American Fact Finder, some of the choices of the tables I got were the imputations for a certain question. What does that mean? And is that still the case that the imputation would come up?
Well, yes, there is a blog on our census website that talks about imputation. And I would highly suggest everybody going there and looking at it if you are going to be working with our data, and also familiarizing yourself with the documentation on the margin of errors. Margin of errors always occur when you're using sampling, okay? And it just means that somewhere in between that number, that plus or minus, the truth lies. So more specific, you can go to the ACS webpage and look for the technical documentations, and it will give you the margin of error that we work with. Because it's based on sampling and the universe and error and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of information. Imputation also is on the blog and it's on our website, and it talks about how it is that we use data within, that's common within the surrounding area of data being collected to kind of fill in the gaps. And so there's always some of that does go on, but it is particular to the survey and the program. So I would definitely encourage everyone to look at the imputation, the margin of error, and also something that will be coming up, and you will be hearing more about it, is the differential privacy. Okay, it has a lot to do with how it is that we are protecting the confidentiality of the data, so that we do not disclose who our respondents are.